Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. And well, we have Canadian whiskey for a good month or more on these taste challenges. And trying to set this up here. And so get ready for that. And after we do the Canadian, then it will be time for Scotch. And then after we do the Scotch, it will be time for bourbon. And after we do the bourbon, it will be time for American blended whiskey. And that's going to be a doozy. That will be Grand Legacy. You say Grand Legacy? Wow. I mean, never heard of that blended whiskey. Yeah. Comes in that beautiful big plastic jug bottle, 1.75 liter handle bottle from our friends at CVS Pharmacy via Legacy Distilling, I think. In other words, Sazerac. But tonight, I say tonight because I'm waiting for dawn and I don't see but just a glimmer of the bluish thing in the sky. So I think it's coming along. The humidity outside, you would not believe it. It's worse than ever. This is Windsor Canadian blended Canadian whiskey. Windsor Canadian. Let's see how many times it says Canadian. There's a crown for the Kingdom of Canada. Well, it's not called that. It's just called Canada. But people, it used to be the Dominion of Canada. They dropped that terminology really. But product of Canada, 1. Windsor Canadian, 2. Imported, yes. They wouldn't say that if you're in Canada. Windsor Canadian, 3. Blended Canadian whiskey, 4. Supremely smooth. Now, I used to say Windsor Canadian Supreme, but now over here it says supremely smooth. A supremely smooth whiskey made with waters born in the clear, clean Canadian Rockies. So what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Blended and distilled under strict supervision of the Canadian government, 5. So they're trying to let you know, made with only premium grains and glacial born waters. The Windsor Distillery Company, Deerfield, Illinois. That's where it's bottled. Hey, you know what? It's Beam-Suntory. That's who makes it, Beam-Suntory. It's like Jean-Pierre said, a dummy company. A dummy, it's just a name, a registered alias distillery. W, Windsor. The House of Windsor. Windsor, Ontario. Windsor Castle in England. Brown bottle. Yeah, I know. It's really the House of Saxe, Coburg, and Gotha, a German family. But in 1917, they wanted people to hate Germany and not think the British royal family was Germanic in its origins. So they just changed the name like that to the House of Windsor. I could change my name, but it would. A Cassius Clay by any other name is still a Cassius Clay. You get me? You feel what I'm trying to tell you? Saxe Coburg Gotha versus Albertsons Canadian whiskey, a blend. Look at that purple, gold, and red. Reminds you of some other brand? Yeah. What would that brand be? A tradition of quality since 1939. Bottled by County Line Distillers, Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah, once again, no, it's Sazerac. Which you would know that by looking at the 1-800 number on the back. Plus it says info@bartonbrands.com, which is Sazerac. Okay, so Barton Brands. That was sold off to Sazerac from Constellation Brands in 2009. So I guess Constellation Brands used to make this for Albertsons grocery stores. I don't think Albertsons whiskey, American or Canadian blended, gin, rum is made anymore. I think it's been replaced. They even had an Albertsons brandy. I think it's been replaced with other names that they could sell across the chains, because Albertsons is now part of a big old grocery chain with multiple stores, you know, like Jewel Osco and all these other ones. So they're not going to sell Albertsons in Vons or Amigos grocery stores. All right. Well, anyway, you can tell it's a Sazerac bottle. Got that Sazerac design with the lip at the bottom. And honestly, this is one of those Beam-Suntory bottles, Beam bottles. Go look at old Overholt, or believe Old Granddad. If it's a 750, it'd be the same design. I think the Old Granddad is clear though, clear bottom. Some are clear, some are brown. All right, 1880 takes precedence. That's why I poured it first. W. Windsor. And then 1939, have they been making Albertsons Canadian whiskey a blend since 1939? You know they weren't. But one of the viewers, I think it's Robert Browning, I'm almost sure, he said he was working for a company, a distributor back in the early 1970s, and they handled Albertsons brands. So it could have been contracted around, you know, but it currently, for the last long time, 10 years or more, it's been Sazerac, all right, of New Orleans. And daylight's coming around. Okay, so the Windsor's more golden and the Albertsons is more amber. I'm not saying you won't go to Albertsons and see some Albertsons liquor. My lip was itching. You might, because they might have such a backstock. You know, they're not going to throw it away. Oh, no. They'll just keep it on the shelf till somebody buys the rest, you know, all of it, and they'll close it out. I keep seeing it at Albertsons gin, the little 375 bottles over there. But I'm surprised they haven't reduced them. I guess they figure somebody will come in and buy that. Better not do that. Let's see, pour a little bit more. I'm trying to even it out, but I got to be careful. I don't want to just keep going up. Yeah, that's probably too much. Okay. Will I be able to tell them apart? I guess so. And I think it'll probably be a tie in quality, which would mean that Albertsons would win, since that bottle was $4.99. I'm not joking. $4.99. That was a closeout with the green tag at Albertsons. When they put that green tag, that forest green tag, that means closeout, or whatever that green shade is. There's so many shades of green. So that's what I paid. Now the Windsor's $10.99 all around here, if you can find it. Winn-Dixie. Usually it's a Winn-Dixie. They carry it. I haven't seen it at Rouse's. I haven't seen it at Walmart. See it at Winn-Dixie. I noticed Walmart just started selling J&B though. Walmart's liquor selection keeps increasing. Are they trying to become like the liquor warehouse or something around here? I mean, it's crazy what Walmart is doing now. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. There's no way I could ever finish doing Walmart, what Walmart carries on this channel. You understand? I wouldn't have to go to any other liquor store ever. And that's not even a mile away. I could just go right there, get something new once a month or every 2 weeks and try it. And I would never run out. And there's no way. It's not possible. That is not possible. Unless I drink a new brand every day. And then who's going to do that? I know I wouldn't. You would be quite impressed, I believe, if you came here and saw their selection. Winn-Dixie is good too. Probably a bigger selection. They've been doing it longer, I guess. But Walmart is cheaper. But they got a lot in that little area, that little liquor department. I mean, it's a lot. It's packed in there. All right. Albertsons is good, but I don't have an Albertsons in this town, so that's not in play. Matherns is a small section behind the customer service, but it would keep you busy. Food for Less would not. That's just basic, very basic. Nothing exciting there. Just basic, common stuff, you know. Crystal Palace gin, Tanqueray gin. I mean, say they got Mims gin. I don't know, it's just standard. All right, enough of that. Smells spicy. I was talking to my friend David. We did a review. That's coming up in maybe a week. It was Maker's Mark rye. And I never had Maker's Mark in my life. I'm talking about I never had this. They dip it in the plastic, you know, that cap, and then you have to cut it off. And he had cut it, and I liked it. I liked the Maker's Mark rye. I was pleased with it. Didn't think it was really any better than the Sazerac rye or whatnot, but I don't guess it costs anymore either. But I did notice something. I said, you ever notice how Jim Beam products all kind of taste the same? Well, he looked at me with a funny look. He said, what? I said, you know, it must be like a yeast strain they use. I said, you don't notice that like they kind of like all, they're not exactly the same. People take that the wrong way, but there's a commonality. You don't notice that? I notice it. Okay. So it's spicy here. In Sazerac whiskeys, I have that commonality. Spicy in the nose, some vanilla, yes, some oak. You won't get a lot of that usually with Canadian whiskeys because usually they're aged in used barrels. In the case of the Sazerac ones, they'd probably be aged in used Buffalo Trace and Barton barrels, and then bourbon barrels, and then the Windsor is almost certainly aged in used Jim Beam barrels. Well, why not? Little candy here, candy corn, nectar, you know, dried flowers, whatnot. Okay, over here. Much less aroma going on. Much more subdued smell. That's a little surprising. I got to do some research today on the use of oak extract. I keep saying I'm going to, and I keep forgetting. I still have 5 Major League Baseball game highlights to watch. The game recaps on MLB. It's a nice little setup. They have recaps. They used to have game recaps on ESPN.com, and it'd be like a minute and a half. But they don't do that anymore. They'll just have selected highlights from a game, like little clips. Well, you know, ESPN laid off half their staff, what, about 2 years ago? So I guess they don't want to pay anybody to narrate. They used to have a narrator, you know. And not now. It's just raw clips from games with maybe some music in the background. I don't watch it. It's too disjointed. Anyway, those were too fast. Those minute-and-a-half clips, you couldn't get your bearings on it. Now the MLB is about 3 minutes long, or 4, sometimes 5, but usually not so long. And you can kind of keep track more of what happened in the game. It's not just rushed. You know, you haven't noticed ESPN, everything is rushed. You say, well, they got to get to all the political stuff. Right. I mean, why focus on sports in a sports channel? I mean, why would you do that? It's all about politics, not about sports. I mean, let's kind of put things in perspective here. But Major League Baseball, their highlights focus on the game generally, which is odd this day and age. This one has that honeycomb, like honeycomb cereal. Yes. And beeswax, bees, honey. So, and it makes sense, honeycomb cereal, because that's cereal grain, you know, pulverized, powdered, really, and pressed together, and then flavored with some probably corn syrup or honey. They say real honey, I don't know. But so the whiskey's made from cereal grains, so then that makes sense. So I initially think that this one is the Albertsons because it's got a lot of spiciness. And what do we know about Sazerac brands? They tend to be high rye relative to other companies' products. And I'm picking up a spicy rye note. So I'm thinking, yeah, I bet you that's coming from Kentucky. You know, Canadian whiskey via Kentucky bottling plant. Whereas this one's probably coming from Illinois, Canadian whiskey via the Deerfield, Illinois bottling plant. And obviously they have there's also plain, oh, that's Diageo, never mind. They even have a brewery down there where they make those beer concoctions. Beer-based concoctions. Okay, so that's just the initial on aroma. Very nice aroma on both. This one's starting to breathe a little bit more coming out. At first it was just dead note. But it's starting to come alive. And this one's starting to settle down, so the spice is not as strong. This one's settling down, that one's coming alive. All right, let's go to the taste. All right. Remember the Albertson brand, much cheaper. Even if it's not on sale, it's going to be much cheaper. Sweet corn. It's like sweet corn and candy corn. So you say, what about the rye? What about the barley malt? What about all those flavorings, you know? Because Canadian whiskey can have that 9-point-something% flavorings. Brandy, rum. Usually it's rum. Me and John and Nilly and I figured that out. It's that white rum. No, it just doesn't really have that. I never did think that Albertsons had too much of that. Albertsons is more just like a whiskey that tastes like, oh, well, you know, whiskey. Yeah, I know it's probably mostly grain alcohol. It's probably not too much what they would call single malt, like so to speak, in Scotland. You know, straight high rye, high wine, and barley high wine. But for a cheap commodity, you know, a cheap product, it's good. These Canadian blended whiskeys generally, in my opinion, tend to be better than the American counterparts. Those can be really, they can have some bad attributes. I don't know. They seem to really put some cheap stuff out. The Canadian, this is probably aged about 3 years. I bet you not a minute longer. 3 years and a day, huh? All right. All right. Now I know. Now I know. You think you know, but you don't know, and you'll never know. No, I do know. This has a definite and unquestionable flavoring presence. Say what flavor? Not really that rum, or as John and Dilly said, it tastes like almond extract, but that wasn't it. It's like sherry. You definitely, with these Canadian whiskeys, many of them, you can pick up a definite sherry note. What kind of sherry? That's hard to say. Think along the lines of if you went and bought some Sheffield cocktail sherry or Fairbanks. I think it's Fairbanks cocktail sherry. You can get it in that big bottle. Yeah. Do they use cocktail sherry in this? I don't know. I know these companies all trade off with each other and stuff. Like when I went to the Barton Distillery, Barton 1792 Distillery, the lady says, well, you know, actually about half, because they got excess capacity. They don't, it doesn't take their whole facility, all their time and effort to make just Barton stuff. So she said about half these barrels is really Paul Masson brandy. I guessed that. She said, can anybody guess what's in these? I raised my hand. I said, brandy. She said, right. She looked at me funny, like, how does he know that? And she said, yeah, we age all the, I guess, all the Paul Masson brandy there. Well, they don't own Paul Masson. They just, it's a contract. So these companies trade off. So the sherry, shoot, they might be buying that from Gallo for all I know. Or Taylor, Canandaigua Wine Company, you know, Constellation Brands. I mean, these companies are just all, they're always trading around. It's not collusion. That would be setting prices, which is illegal in the United States, may not be illegal in Canada. Okay, so which one tastes better? I know which one is which. I know this is the Windsor because when I did the solo review, I said it tasted like they had some kind of flavoring in it. Not real strong, like some of them, like the Canadian Limited, that'd be Flavor City. That thing will make your ears ring. It's so flavorful with those added flavors. I mean, the Albertsons has it. It's in there. You know it's in there, but it's subtle, subtle. Which one tastes better? This is hard to say, you know. And I know you're probably saying, yeah, but you already preached that sermon. If it's hard to say and it's a virtual tie, then the cheaper one wins. You got that right. If I can't figure out which one tastes better, and probably neither one is better than the other, and I would be satisfied drinking either. Would I be satisfied drinking either one of these? Oh, yeah, sure. Nothing offensive about either one. What's the downside with either one of these? There is none. Where are the faults? What are the faults? Well, I mean, they're young and all, but there's no faults. No. Nope. No. Nothing. So then the cheaper one wins. So obviously Albertsons wins. Okay, sorry, Windsor Canadian. Sorry, Beam-Suntory. I'm not here to service your products. You know, I'll review them. I'll talk about them when they're good, which they usually are. I'll praise them, you know. But I have no connection to Beam-Suntory. I have no money from them. Not to say I would turn it down, but I have a feeling it's not coming my way. I've had people accuse me in the past. You're bought. You're bought. You do these reviews because people send you stuff. I've told them in the past, I said, if people were sending me stuff, why would I be doing one review a month of their products? I'd be doing one a day. You know what I mean? I'd be on the milk train, you know what I'm saying? But that ain't happening, so I just jump around brand to brand. All right, so this is Albertsons, and that's Windsor. I'm going to say Albertsons. It'll have an A underneath. Oh, whoops. That's Windsor. That's Albertsons. Okay, well, so it has more of the flavor and flavor. Okay, I can see that Canadian Limited coming in rich and rare. But you know, I don't feel too bad about this because the only time I only tried Windsor once, like literally once in my life when I did the solo review. So now here's the second time. I didn't exactly have experience with it. So you got to get used to these sometimes. Now, Triple Crown was so strange in its flavor that it didn't take me long to get used to it because it was so unusual relative to the other ones. But this one is so much alike the others that it's a little difficult. But I think I'll get a handle on it. I think so. I just got to remember those signposts of the flavor, little exploration that I do. Okay. Still loses though because of price, so wouldn't matter. Still doesn't win. Would I recommend Windsor? Heck yeah, buy it, try it. People have been telling me for 2 years, when you going to do it? When you going to do it? I said, it's coming, but it's here now. So yeah. I would recommend it without any hesitation. There's no qualifications, and that's a pure recommendation. $10.99 a bottle. Oh yeah. Albertsons, same thing. Wouldn't hesitate to drink it. All right, thanks for watching this video production, and see what happens the rest of today with videos and whatnot. All right, thank you, folks. Take care. Daylight is here.